there are four things that if I had a daughter, I would tell her about men. And I want to share with you the four things I would share, at least. I'm not saying everybody is going to agree with this. You're probably not about to agree with a lot that I'm about to say. I love you, but these are my four things, not yours. These are my four things that I would share with my daughter. So one day my wife and I were having a conversation, and somehow we started talking about women and, you know, the fact that we have two boys, and so we don't have a daughter. And we started laughing because I was telling her that if I had a daughter, I would like to think she was going to be, I can't control whatever decisions she would make, but she would definitely be one of the most informed daughters on the planet when it came to men. Because this perspective that I would give her would not just be like my perspective as a man, or my perspective as a man who has relationships with other men, but my perspective as a man who has spent the past 2 decades serving people in the people business, especially on the pastoral side and also in the marketplace with some of our companies. And there are four things that if I had a daughter, I would tell her about men. And I want to share with you the four things I would share, at least. I'm not saying everybody is going to agree with this. You're probably not about to agree with a lot that I'm about to say. I love you, but these are my four things, not yours. These are my four things that I would share with my daughter. And so here's the first thing I would share with my daughter. I would say, baby, love is not enough. That would be one of the first things I would share. Because I know she's probably thinking, I love him and he loved me. And I would say, I'm not doubting that you love him and I'm not doubting that he loves you. But your experience in the relationship is not going to be based on how much he loves you. It's going to be based on whether his love is actually leading his behavior. I'm going to say that one more time. The question isn't how much he loves you. The question is whether or not love is actually driving his behavior. See, I grew up, I'm old school, got a little age on me. So it's this movie we used to watch growing up called Boomerang with Eddie Murphy and Robin Givens and Halle Berry. And there's this one point in the movie where Halle Berry says to Eddie Murphy, he said, but I love you, Angela. She say, love should have brought you home last night. I'm not doubting whether or not he loved her. What I'm saying is there were other things going on in his character. There were other things happening with him emotionally. There were some challenges he just had relationally with commitment. And those issues is what actually drove his behavior, not his love. See, some people can have issues that are stronger than they love. And no matter how much they love you, if their love for you is not in charge of their behavior, if their issues are what's driving their behavior, people who love you greatly can end up hurting you deeply.
When this phrase is posed, love is not enough, people are speaking to finances. So when is it okay to go through that struggle, and when is it not?
Yeah, I think when it comes to a financial struggle, and when it's appropriate, I would say that all depends on the season of life that the woman is in. And so I want to be really honest about that, right? There are certain seasons that are more peak earning seasons. There are seasons where your financial condition is more consequential than others. So if I'm retired and income is not coming in the same way, and I don't have a sufficient nest egg, I don't have a financial fortress built around my life, then I don't know if that's the season of struggle. right? That you may be in your 20s and you may say, you know what, we can kind of build together. But I think every woman has to gauge, and I'm not telling women what to do. I'm saying what I would tell my daughter. And that is, you need to gauge what season of life you in and whether or not that is a season where you are okay financially struggling. So I think that's going to be relative. I think it's one thing to sign up for that in your 20s. It's another thing to sign up for that in your 60s.
What are signs that they shouldn't be with this person if they're financially struggling?
So let me be clear here. So this is going to be controversial too, but this is what I would tell my daughter. Because if I had a daughter, she would have grown up with a relatively good life. She'd have grown up with a life I dreamed of, right? But I would tell her, your dad was broke when your mama met him. That's the first thing I would tell her, right? I would be like, yeah, so sometimes people look at current earnings. I would say, baby, don't just look at one, if she's my daughter, she would marry out of desire, not out of desperation. So if she's my daughter, she would need to marry for finances. So that's going to be the first thing. But one of the things I'll tell her, I'll be like, babe, you need to look at not just how much he earns. What is his earning potential? Because when your daddy met your mama, he was broke. When your daddy met the mama, your daddy didn't have any credit. Your mama got your daddy a cell phone in her name. Your dad was so broke when he proposed to your mom, they had to finance the ring in her name. He gave her the ring. She had to act like she hadn't seen the ring before. It was the most anticlimactic engagement in human history. But she saw I had earning potential. And so if she had made a decision based on my yesterday, then she would have missed out on my tomorrow. So I would say, don't look at just current earnings, look at earning potential. And that's going to be based on two things. Character traits, like, is he responsible? See, I was broke, but I was on my stuff. I was in school, I had good grades, I had a plan. I was going to law school when we first started dating. The only reason I was broke was because I was in school and I was playing basketball, so you couldn't get a job. So there were a number of different factors that were contributing to my brokenness. You know what I mean? It wasn't that I wasn't responsible, that I didn't have a good work ethic and things of that particular nature. So I think those are traits that, and was the first time I was like, babe, don't just look at, is he fine? Is he responsible? Because that's going to have a greater impact on the quality of your life. So is he responsible? Does he have a work ethic? That's character. And then there's some competencies. Is he on to something that is realistically, I know there are anomalies, and if you want to roll the dice with an anomaly, go for it. But is he on to something that is realistically going to put y'all in a position where you're financially secure? You know what I mean? Like I love everybody. I love rappers. I love athletes, etc. But the percentage of those people that actually pan out is very, very, very small. So you want to make sure he's building something that can actually produce a financial fortress around him and his family.
Depending on this next question, we might have to make this 2 parts.
It's gonna have to be. It's almost 2 minutes.
Is this gonna be like
It's almost 2 minutes. I was gonna do one, but we can.
You forgot the plan.
It said he just wanted to throw his question in.
I couldn't let it go too far.
Yeah, well, we can't go to another question. No, it's 8 minutes, so you just got to ask one more
You got something done?
on these lines. Because my point was love was not enough, and Jay just went to money. He's like, I need more than love. I need some money.
Yeah, no, that's what this generation is dealing with.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
but I do think that needs to be talked about, because I think it's like a double entendre. Like, it's like, nah, I don't think that should be the determining factor when you're making a decision, but it does need to be a factor. You determine how big a factor it is, but money matter. And having somebody, you know what I mean? You want to make sure you marry an asset, not a liability. You get to determine what that is, but money matters. Everything is, money doesn't solve all problems, but you need money to solve the problems that money can solve. That way the problems you're dealing with are not problems that can be fixed with money.
Okay, I guess my last question.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
So she a woman.
Nobody is perfect, so if love is not enough, like, where do you draw that line? It's like, this is an issue that maybe I shouldn't deal with, or nah, I can love them through that.
Yeah. So you're right. Love is not enough, and everybody's imperfect. I think this is what I would tell my daughter. I would say there's a difference between somebody being imperfect, and unsafe. So the question is, do you have issues that just kind of like irk me? Or do you have issues that actually put me in danger? Right, so if you have no ability to bridle what you do physically, then that's not just something that, if you can't bridle your body, that's not just something that just like, oh, this get on my nerves. It's like, nah, you can kind of mess up my life with this. That's different. So I feel like everybody has to gauge what that line is for them, which is why I think everybody's got to have clear core values and non-negotiables. Because if you don't have that for yourself, then you don't have a filter to choose what will and what won't work for you. So let's say like, I'm not combative at all. I'm just not a combative person. So I'm a low drama, let's chill, let's whatever. So for me, combativeness will be a non-negotiable. But for somebody else, it's like, hey, this is not unsafe for me. This is just something that irked me a little bit. So I feel like every person individually has to be very clear on like, what are the things you just can't deal with? And I think if you know those things, then you know where to draw the line and you can be flexible in the other areas. Well, I said I was going to give you 4 things. And I just can't give them all to you in this video. So I'm going to stop right here and I'll do some other videos and I'll go through the other 3. But here's one thing I would tell my daughter. Love is not enough.